All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining our AMA today with GemPad. It's a return AMA. Good to see them. They're returning today with new updates and excited to hear what's new. We have Morty from GemPad speaking today. Morty, could you please start off with explaining yourself and your team's experience in the space, and then give us a nice breakdown of what GemPad is? The floor is yours.
Thanks for having me, first of all, Mike. My name's obviously Morty, as you already said. So, I am one of the co-founders of GemPad. So, I've been with it since the start. We're actually going over a year old. So, we're old enough for a crypto company, and we've definitely improved a lot because, as well, the launchpad space is quite saturated. There's a lot of different launchpads and stuff in it. Now, my kind of experience, I have been doing the marketing, and at the start, there was maybe 6 of us. Now we've gone up to about 15. But when we had just the 6 of us, I was doing marketing, I was writing up the Git book, there was loads of different things that we had to do. Even I was doing KYCs and stuff. But now that we're after getting a lot bigger and we're after getting better partnerships, it's a lot more spread out. Um, so basically, the team, how it is now, is we have Red, who's the lead dev. We have Bina, Niall, and Towie, who are the listing teams. We have Pip, myself, Greg, and who did I say? Raymans and Ron. Just make sure I got everyone. We're all on marketing. So we have a lot more people. And then we have the people at mods, and we also have a tech team of 4. So we've gotten a lot bigger, which is great because, trust me, it's nice to be able to do a few different things. It keeps it interesting, but it can keep you very busy. Especially the listing teams could be looking after like 100 groups. So basically, the listing team, when we started off, you just couldn't talk to them. You couldn't have them doing anything else. You just had to do that. And then Red was kind of the lead dev, and he had to obviously do that. So then there was only like 2 or 3 of us for like everything else, and that's like marketing, announcements, AMAs. So it's a lot better now. And that also means that we have a bit more free time to do more new stuff. So you should see a lot of new stuff coming out very, very soon.
Thanks for that, Morty. Yeah, we've been partners, I think, going on about 8 to 10 months now. We were first partners, and it's beautiful to see the progress overall. It's amazing what you guys have accomplished to date. So I'll let you lead the way, brother, on, GemPads utilities, and all the tiers and what you guys do, and then let you give us some updates.
Perfect. Yeah. So we'll start off with what GemPad is basically. So first and foremost, we are a launchpad. That is our main thing. Now we do stuff along marketing, and we have plans for other dApps and stuff like that. But one of the things that kind of sets us apart is our tier system. So with our tiers, you can at a quick glance get a look at the whole new system, or get a look at what the project is. So basically the quality of it and the safety of it. Now, these are not set in stone in the sense that do not follow them as if they're gospel. You have to still do your own research. These are only estimates at what the team has made. Now, we're all traders ourselves. That's how we got started this thing, is that we actually went to our lead dev, Red. He found out there's 2 scams on the launchpad. I won't say which one, but he found there's 2 scams, went and reported it, and they ignored him, and they scammed. And that's kind of why we created Launchpad. So with the tiers, we have common tier, we have gold tier, we have platinum, and we have diamond. So the common is obviously the lowest, and then it's gold. And sorry, there's a 5th tier that's a standalone tier. That's the alpha tier, and that's a little different. We'll get onto that in a bit. But basically, with all the different tiers, it just tells you how good the project is. And to be honest, I could go through them all, but I want to get onto other things, and I think it's best if you're interested in it, go check the website and the Git book and explains them all. But it's fairly self-explanatory. The one I will go into detail about is the alpha tier. So the alpha tier, the way that works is, we have tiers for our holders too. So for our holders, there's gold, platinum, diamond, and then alpha is also a bit of a different tier. So if you have gold, platinum, or diamond as a holder, you just have to hold a certain amount of tokens. So gold is 50,000, platinum is 90,000, and diamond is 180,000. So you just can buy them in, and it's automatic. You just become whatever tier you get the minute you buy them, and it shows up on the website. But alpha tier is a little different. So with alpha tier, you have to hold diamond tier status for 7 days, and we will check. So we ask for kind of proof that you ask for your wallet's address first of all, and then we ask for proof that you own it. So then once you're accepted into it, we also monitor the wallet. And basically, because once you get alpha tier, you get accepted into our alpha club. So the alpha club is a private group. I think there's about 300 people in there now, and it's very active. A lot of the alphas actually say it's more active than the main chat, and we give out to them saying, well, will you talk in the main chat then? Because it makes it look better. But the alpha chat's very active, and it's great because they get a lot of say in what we do. So say there was a project, for example, that I won't go into detail and I won't say what it was, but there's a project that was going to launch as alpha tier and it didn't, and it launched as common, and just there were some issues with it. And we were nervous that it was a scam, but it was like on the fence. Like it could be good or it might be a scam, and we weren't really sure. So we said, and the only people that had invested in it were the alphas and the project or the team's like friends and family or whatever, so it was only people they trusted, obviously. So that was, we wouldn't have to worry about them. So it was basically our alphas. So we said to them, look, what do you want to do? If it's up to us, we'd probably cancel, but like it's not our money, it's your money, it's the alpha's money. So you can vote, you can say if you want to launch and see what happens. We entirely put it up into their hands, and they actually did let it launch, and I think it did a few X's. So that was actually a good thing, because we probably wouldn't have let it launch, because we like to err on the side of caution. So basically, if we're 50-50, we'll just cancel it because we don't want to take a risk. Because it's taking a risk with people's money, which, look, I'm sure a lot of people in crypto are a bit of a gambler, but we'd rather not risk our people's money if we can help it at all. And that's basically alpha tier. So we also votes and stuff, and they kind of get to hear stuff first. And so basically, all you need to do is hold 180,000 gems for 7 days, and then you apply to the alpha club, and then you'll get accepted. And that's basically it. And also, some of the alpha tier launches, the wallets are monitored for the sales. So if it's 40 BNB hard cap and alpha gets the full hard cap and they get to fill it by themselves, we will say that there's selling rules. So you can't dump at launch, you can't dump your whole bags, just stuff like that. And basically we monitor them, and all the alphas, that's one of the rules, is that if you get this and you dump it, we'll kick you. It doesn't matter if you keep holding gems, we'll kick you. And we have done it, people then sell their gems, but that's the rules. We have to stick by them, and we will. And we do, they are checked more or less daily, all the different addresses. I actually used to do it myself, but then that's one of the things that when we expanded the team, I got to move that off, because that was not fun. It was very tedious, because we tried to figure ways to make it better, but we didn't. But anyway, moving on. So another thing that actually sets us aside is that you can't snipe or bot a sale on GemPad. So our genius dev, Red, has come up with a way that you can't do it. So as far as I know, might be wrong, but as far as I know, we're the only launchpad that you can't snipe on. So that's pretty good, because it means that it's not just going to be people who don't care about the projects. It's usually going to be people if anyone has a fair chance. And that's what we're all about at GemPad, giving everyone an equal and fair chance. Because that's one thing in crypto, is sometimes you have certain, is gatekeeping the right word, where it's just hard to get into certain things. Like there are certain sales where you have to know people and all, and we try to make it as open to everyone as possible, even projects as well. So that's another reason why we have tiers, is that we like to say we're the launch pad for every type of project. So it's not say gaming tokens, or it's not meme coins, or it's not huge raises. It's anyone. So whether you're launching a project that you put 2 years into, you can come to GemPad. Whether you did it a week or two ago and you want to make a meme coin, you can come to GemPad. And that's why the tiers are there, to kind of that we can accept anything. but then it's shown what we kind of think of the project. Now, they're not, as I said, they're not gospel. And sometimes it's like a project will come to us and we'll think, geez, this is a brilliant project. And they want to have a 1,000 BNB hard cap, and we're like, okay, you can, and it would have been diamond, but the hard cap is too high. So we say, okay, you'd have to be platinum then, because with diamond, we kind of have to be sure, or well, as sure as we can be, that you'll reach the hard cap. So that's a big thing for that. But moving along to some other things that we offer that no one else does is stealth launches. So we are going to try and have a bigger push for stealth launches soon. But at the moment we are supporting, and we've had a few. I believe the best one went 53 or 54x. So the way to stealth, well, first of all, what I'll talk about is actually the issues with stealth launches when it's not on GemPad or on any launchpad. Because when I talk about this, I'm not saying I want everything to come to GemPad. Of course I do, but I'm happier to just make it safer. Like if another launchpad copies us, that's fair enough. But at the moment, no one has, and I don't know if anyone will be able to. So basically, the issues with stealth launches, and it's when I say the issues, they're big enough. They're because stealth launches, I actually prefer stealth launches over pre-sales, which is funny coming from someone who owns a launchpad. But it's just I've always made more money off them. Maybe that's just because when I started off on pre-sales, and then I went to stealth launches when I kind of knew a bit more. Now I have made a lot of money from pre-sales as well. I'm not saying that either. But anyway, I always found when I was trading with stealth launches, there's a good few issues with them. So one of them is when you launch a stealth launch, there's no liquidity lock, unlike a pre-sale. So the big issue with that is if you ape in before they lock liquidity, that means you have a huge risk of getting robbed. But if you wait and then they lock liquidity, it could pump, and then you're after missing all those X's. And so then I always found that I was trying to pick between, do I buy now, do I wait, do I buy now? And it's just a mess. So then another issue is, especially the slightly more hyped stealth launches, is that when you're kind of you're waiting for the contract address to be posted in. And sometimes a rogue mod will post it. I've seen that happen plenty of times. Other times, the not nice project owners will then launch it. They'll have their friends and family buy in or the team buy in, and then they'll post a contract address. So it's a pre-pumped contract address, and then they just dump on everyone. And they're kind of the main problems with it. And as well, sometimes with a stealth launch, you don't have a lot of money to start off. Unlike a pre-sale, you don't have that percentage that you get from the raise. So like, sometimes if there's 100 BNB hard cap and a pre-sale has 70% going to liquidity, that means they have that 30% for marketing and everything like that. Now, a stealth launch doesn't quite have that. Usually they provide the liquidity themselves. Sometimes they have a small private, but usually it's themselves. So where does GemPad come in? So it solves all those problems pretty much. So when it comes to liquidity lock, if you do a stealth launch through GemPad, the liquidity is locked directly at launch. So that's great for investors, and it's also handy for the developer, the team, because they don't have to be worrying about launching, then kind of trying to get locked. Because I've seen kind of the devs be a bit panicky over it because they're trying to organize the chat, launch the token, lock liquidity, and there's too much going on. So let GemPad take care of it. You can just go on, launch the stealth launch through us, and it locks straight away. And it's a lot handier. So then the other thing is that with a stealth launch at GemPad, the pre-sale card will look more or less the same thing. It'll just say stealth launch, but there won't be a contract address on it. It will actually be hidden till you add liquidity and launch. And once you do that, then it appears. So that means that everyone will get it at the exact same time it launches. So there's no fake contract address and there's no late contract address. So it makes it a lot easier. Now, we haven't had a huge amount of stealth launches, but we are trying to get more. And actually there's more positives, but one of the last main positives I'll talk about with stealth launches is that with a stealth launch, when you launch on GemPad, on some days we get up to 40,000 unique visitors. So that's 40,000 people that will see your stealth launch. And you can have it pinned as well on the day it launches. So that many people get to see your stealth launch, all included in the listing price. So not only do you have the liquidity lock, now the liquidity lock is probably more for investors, and so is the the fact that there's no late or fake contract addresses. That's obviously more for investors. But for devs, now obviously the fact that it helps investors will help you because it provides that more that you care about their safety and their well-being, or well-being is maybe the strange word to say, but you know what I mean. So that you're kind of putting them first. But the third thing, the fact that many people see your still launch is great advertising. Like if you can show me somewhere where I can pay one BNB to get 40,000 people eyes on it, I'll cry with happiness because that's a great deal in my opinion. So there are all the reasons why still launch can be good on GemPad. Now you're going to see a bigger push for still launches very soon because we want it on both BSC and Ethereum would be great as well. That's a good way to get into Ethereum as well as all the different networks. So it's going to be hopefully several different ones. Now, moving on to another thing that sets us apart, staking. So this is a relatively new release. We are actually still waiting on the audits, but I'll get on to that in a second. So with our staking, we have always had staking since we launched Gems. Just for Gems, we've had staking. But what we decided to do is release a place for projects. Now, it doesn't matter if it's launched with GemPad or launched with a different launchpad or didn't launch on any launchpad. You can create a staking pool at GemPad, and it costs 1 BNB, and it's 2% of the deposit reward. So if you put in BNBs, rewards, or whatever, we'll get that as part of the fee. And that will be used for airdrops to just the alpha members. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, so it'll be used for alpha members, airdrops to them, and it can be also used for different campaigns and stuff. So not only will you get a great deal in the staking pool, but you also get a lot more eyes on the project. So if all our alphas getting in, they're all investors. I believe there's over 100 now. I said there's 300 in alpha. There's a lot of influencers and stuff like that. But the actual investors, there's somewhere between 100 and 200 now. I've lost count at the minute. I used to know when I did the addresses, but I don't anymore. So there's a lot in there. And your project or the project you're investing in, if you tell them to go do staking at GemPad, will get all those investors. Or it can be used as a campaign, whichever makes the most sense. So we're not saying it's set in stone going to alphas, but that's just more or less what the idea behind it is. But why is staking at GemPad good? So I'll tell you that. So there's a few different reasons. Number one, there's no coding involved. So say if you're thinking about hiring a dev, not only will you save money on it, but you'll also save time. So this can be done instantly. When Red created it, I had to write up the Git book for it. And instead of telling me, he said, just try and do one and let him know and see if I find it easy. And there was one or two things I didn't know that I wrote on. Now it's all up on Gitbook now, and there's a step-by-step guide on Gitbook, but it's fairly straightforward. And I think even looking at the Gitbook, anyone would be able to do it. And I always say, I'm hoping I left it at the end of it, that if there's ever any confusion, just to contact me or go into the chat, into GemPad chat, and ask anyone, and they'll be able to help you. Now, some other things that are great for it is also the eyes on it. So just having it up there on Launchpad when people are going in to look at the staking is kind of great advertising for it. It's a lot cheaper than hiring a dev. I know I said faster and you wouldn't have to worry about coding, but it's a lot cheaper. If you can find a dev to make staking for 1 BNB, tell me where you found them. So there's lots of different reasons why staking is good at GemPad. So we're going to, again, that's another thing that we're going to have a big push on. But the stealth launches and staking are two things that will be great for us as well, because obviously it's a source of income. Look, we're a business after all. We have to have different sources of income as well as just the launchpad itself. So these will be great, but it'll also provide a lot more opportunities for our investors and our community to make money, which is what we try and provide. But yeah, so they're kind of the main reasons, main new things I wanted to talk about. We do actually have some great things coming out relatively soon, and that I can't talk about because they're a secret. But they are really, really cool, and I'm really excited for them. One of them is something that's already out there, but we tried to improve it. It's kind of like how we had GemPad. Launchpad was a new thing, but we tried to make it better. We also have another thing coming out that I actually have spoken about, but I have a feeling no one's going to know it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it is a new thing. And I don't think anyone's actually ever done it successfully. But I do think it's really needed in the space. And that's one thing as well. At GemPad, obviously, as I said, it's a business. We're trying to make money. We're here to make a living. But we are trying to improve the space. Like I said, when we had Red or Dev who wanted to go into, when he decided he was going to build a launchpad, he decided he was going to, or he went in to report to scams to a launchpad, and they ignored it. So Red was like, okay, we need to build one because it's needed. Because you can't have a leader in the space not have the best intentions for the space, because that's what at GemPad, what we tried to do anyway, because we like to call ourselves the community's launchpad, and that's why we have Alpha, so that they can come in and they get to decide a lot of things, because we want to be as decentralized as possible. Like, we ideally would love to eventually have a thing where, because it was in our plans, but it kept getting pushed back and back and back, where our alpha, or not just our alphas, but our holders get to vote to cancel pre-sales, so that they don't need to contact us. But moving on, that kind of moves me on to my next point. When I talk about how we put the space first. So we had a project that was coming to launch on us. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's called Pluto Pepe. So we had that coming to launch, and we had another one, or we had that come to launch, and it raised 40 Ethereum, and it was a common tier. And we started getting reports that it was a guy called Shane Sagar. I actually don't know how to pronounce the second name. I presume it's like Sagar or Sagar or something like that. But yeah, you probably, if you know him, you already knew if it said Shane. So we had loads of reports, and we can't say what the proof was, the evidence, but the evidence was enough that we were like, okay, it's him. And he had actually launched a rug with us months ago, and we had paid for an investigation, and all the reports gone to the authorities. But the fact that we heard he was launching another one on us, we were like, okay, not a hope in hell are we letting this launch, even though it was common tier, which common tier is unvetted. We usually don't do anything. But if we found out a serial scammer is trying to launch on our launchpad, we are going to cancel it. No ifs and buts or maybes. So the minute we did that, the minute we found out it was cancelled, I was asleep. So when I woke up, it was cancelled. Because the lads had, once they got the evidence, they didn't need to ask me. Because there's a few of us with equal, there's no one owner. So when I say like Red is lead dev, but he's on the same level as me, we like to kind of give everyone, even in the team, a say. So there's not one boss. Because sometimes it's funny that we have people coming in and they're like I get DMs and they're asking me something. I'm like, no, we're okay, thank you. And they're like, well, can I talk to the owner? And I was like, well, I am the owner. So, but anyway, so going back to it, so we got it cancelled, and we actually released, because that's the thing as well. We have a court, and we also, if it's big enough, we will release a statement in the court. And as I said, if it's big enough, we'll release it in the actual main Telegram. So we basically said that the owner of Pluto Pepe, we believe to be Shane. We got evidence where we felt that it was enough that we had to cancel it. So then once we did that, the owner of Pluto Pepe, who at the time was not in the public size, was not confirmed to be Shane. This is a bit of story time, sorry. But yeah, so who is not confirmed to be Shane. So basically, he was also the owner of a token called Beep on Ethereum. So with that token, it had done fairly well. I think it got up to like 3 million or something. It's still launched. But all the people from Beep came in and started giving out to us in court. So our court is just where people can report scams, and we can talk about it and all stuff like that. But yeah, so they came into the court and started kind of giving out to us, saying that it wasn't true and that we shouldn't believe it. And then they were asking for the evidence, and we said, no, we can't release it publicly. We have reasons. I'm not even going to say it now. But we said we can't release it publicly. And they were like, okay, we don't believe you. So then we were like, well, it's not like we're not here to try and convince you. We're saying it. We have no reason to lie. In fact, like I said, that at GemPad, look, as I said, we're here to make money, but we're not here to make money at the expense of our community. So we actually, because that was the thing that they kept accusing us of lying. And because I was talking in there and I was like, why would we lie? Like, why would we make it up? Not only do we have to put up with all this hassle, which probably would be less hassle than letting it rug because it was commentary and there was no KYC or anything, but we cancelled it to try and save people's money. And we had people coming in and giving out to us. And we were like, not only did we have to put up with all the hassle, but we lost out on, I think it was like 2.5 grand. And which is a fair bit of money, like that we could have just had for doing nothing, but instead we lost it. And we were like, why would we cancel it if we didn't think it was a scam? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But they were still, and look, I understand where they're coming from. Because I'll get onto it, but like there was a lot of them heavily invested, and they just didn't want to believe it, which is fine. I get it, because when money is involved, emotions can run high. But yeah. So basically, then they came in and we then got not evidence. We then matched his IP to the previous scam on GemPad. So with the beep dev. So then we posted that and we were told, and then we were accused of forging that, and it went on and on and on, and eventually then the beep dev just said he was going to dox on a call. And the guy came in and said that, he's going to do this. Will that be enough to convince you? And we said no, because Shane had paid people to KYC before. So we'd well believe that he'll pay someone to dox for him. So anyway, waited for the call. We went in and listened to it, and he didn't come on camera. Now in my opinion, it was a paid person, because it sounded like he was reading from a script, and he didn't even turn on his camera. And everyone actually came back in and apologized to us. So, well, not everyone, but a lot of people came in and said that, and even people DM'd us, to be fair to him, and said, look, we were just blinded by having invested so much money and time into it, we didn't want to believe it. And to be honest, we all said to him, look, it doesn't matter, it's fine, we understand. But it's just funny how it nearly would have been easier to let them scam, but we can't do that. We just wouldn't be able to. We couldn't let it happen. So that's why, even though it caused more hassle, we'll try our best to go the extra mile for our community, even if it means we have to suffer. And I just kind of wanted to tell that story because it kind of shows. Because a lot of people can just say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. But the fact that we've already done it hopefully means it makes it that much clearer what we're trying to do. Because, as I said, we're a business, but we are trying to make the space better. So whether that's getting rid of snipers and the bots, whether it's stopping scammers. So we also recently partnered with Assure. So Assure, because up until, I don't know when they joined us, a few months ago anyway, it was either me or Rainlands doing KYC. Now, we'd be experienced enough in crypto, but obviously there's nothing as good as a proper KYC business, because we're a launchpad. We weren't trying to be a KYC business, but we felt we wanted to do it because we didn't really know who out there was affordable but was good enough that we trust them, because we didn't want to partner with a KYC provider that just releases info. Like, once the KYC happens, there's a scam, they just release the KYC. We didn't want to partner with that because we think that's useless, because then it's like part of KYC, when you get paid to do KYC, part of the payment is to go after people that rug. So it's not just to do the interview and all that. So the fact that if you're just releasing the KYC, then you're just pushing it back on the investors to go invest and to go and put their time into it and try and get back. Now, they should too, don't get me wrong. If they invest, you should always do your own research, and they can. But at the same time, what are you paying a KYC company to do if once they rug, they just release the KYC and usually nothing happens? So that's why we want to do it ourselves, so that we know we could investigate it ourselves. But it took a lot of time, because not only did I have to do the KYCs, the Rainlands had to do the KYCs, but if the rug did happen, which now there wasn't many, I think we had 6 overall, or not even actually, probably 4 or 5 closer to it. So if a rug did happen, we'd have to go in and find out what happened, do the investigation, report to authorities, file a report and stuff like that, followed up, and just stuff like that. That just took too much time. So then we are approached by Assure. Oh, sorry about that. Oh. So we are approached by Assure, and they said they came up with this offer where they could do our KYCs, which we were delighted about. Mostly me and Rainlands probably. Well, actually, Rainlands liked them, but I didn't. But so we wanted to do the KYCs, or they wanted to do our KYCs. Now, this is not only good because it took a bit of pressure off us. As I said, we're not a KYC company. We're a launchpad. And so it took the pressure off us, but it also meant that it's so much better. So I do know what Asure's kind of KYC process is, but I can't go into detail because they don't like telling people. That's just part of it. So their KYC process is very thorough, and I can tell you that they have rejected a load of projects because they don't pass it. And that's great because it means that not only do we get to check the stuff, do we check the project stuff for any kind of red flags, but now we have probably the best, if not one of the best, KYC companies doing our KYCs. And it's very affordable. So it's only 1.5 BNB to get a KYC done with Assure. That's a special price if you launch on GemPad. If you don't launch on GemPad, I believe it's $1,000. So that's kind of, you should go with GemPad. But yeah, so it's a lot better, and that's one of the ways we want to improve, is because not only is it a lot more hassle for us, but it's a lot safer for a project to be KYC'd with Assure than it was when we were doing KYCs, because they have so much experience, more connections, just everything. It just, it made so much sense, and we're delighted to have done it. And as I said, we've been going for a few months now. They've had a few rejections, as in if someone doesn't pass the KYC, they'll reject them. And we share a lot of the same values, which is great, because we always say, like, if we see a scam, we're 50-50, usually we'll cancel it. Now, unless we're in a position like the alpha thing I spoke about, and they'll be the same. They'd rather, if they're unsure, they won't just say, "I'll go for it." They'd rather not. We don't want to take risks, because look, in crypto, it's a lot about taking risks, but we shouldn't take risks because it's not our money we'd be taking risks with. But yeah, so that's just a little bit about how we're trying to improve the space. And also, another thing that we have coming out is our vetted badge. So you probably heard of it before. Well, if you've heard of GemPad, maybe you have. We had a vetted badge where we had some third parties. So our partners were doing the vetted. So this would involve an interview. They check if the KYC matches. Well, the person would kind of have to dox on the video call, or have a KYC done. It was one or the other with partners, and they'd also kind of check the code and stuff like that. And it was doing well, and eventually it was some of the partners didn't do it quite right. We had some kind of people kind of complaining that they weren't as detailed as they wanted, and eventually we kind of thought of scrapping it. But now we're actually going to do the vet ourselves. So this means that we'll be doing the interview, we'll be checking the code. Now this is on top of an audit or a KYC or whatever. We'll be doing all the checks ourselves. So that should mean that it's even that much safer, because not only will you have the audit, you have the KYC, and you'll have the vetted. And actually, when I'm talking about the badges, I forgot to mention, Assure actually has its own special badge, and it's called KYC Plus. So it's just basically, it's better than KYC, because in our eyes, they are the best. Now, you can argue, you could say they're one of the best or whatever, but in our eyes, they're the best. So that's why we gave them KYC Plus. Now, you also have, we are also bringing out Audit Plus. So that will also be, actually, I believe it's already out now. I'm saying we're bringing it out. It's already out. So the Audit Plus is just to show the companies like the Certic and stuff like that, that it's of a higher quality audit. So you can check at a glance if you're not very technical, or maybe if you're new to GemPad, because that's the thing, that we try and build GemPad so that if it's your first pre-sale, you can go on GemPad and have no problems, or if it's your 1,000 pre-sale, you can go on GemPad and still use all the features, and it can be user-friendly, and it just makes sense. So that way you'll be able to see at a glance, you'll be able to see if it's KYC or KYC Plus. If it's KYC Plus, you know it's Assure and it's better than KYC. Same with Audit. And if you see Audit Plus, you know it's better than a normal audit. And then if you see vetted, you know it's checked that much more. So that means that if you are very new to crypto, at a glance, you can kind of see how much not to use the word vetting again, but how much vetting has gone into the project, whether it's been KYC, audit, how good the KYC or audit is, and if it got vetting. Now, this is not a replacement for you doing your own research. We are all traders, so when we put it into tiers, we're trying to do a lot of work to make it very user-friendly and newbie-friendly. But as I like to stress that it is not a replacement for you doing your own research. You must always do your own research. It's very important. But yeah, so that's pretty much me done. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
100%. That was a beautiful breakdown there, Morty. I appreciate that. Rolling way back to the beginning here, one of the questions I had is, with your tiered system on the project side, what is some of the criteria a project must meet to hit your higher tiered acceptance?
So with the higher tier, it's usually dependent on the use case, how much help they need. So whether it's like if you're, say, going for diamond tier and you're like, I don't know anything about marketing, we're like, okay, well, you probably can't be diamond tier, because it's not just about filling the pre-sale, it's after launch as well. So if we have to do the marketing for you, we're going to be worried about what you're going to do at launch and what you're going to do after launch. What's that marketing going to be like? So we need to be sure that you have a good enough knowledge to do it yourself. So there's other stuff like that. Hard cap is another thing. We have to make sure the hard cap is attainable. When it comes to, as I said, with use case, it's how close it is to being done. It's also what the use case is. If it's something that's been done before, you need to, like, say we did Launchpad, but we feel that we've improved a lot on a Launchpad, what a Launchpad is and what it does. So it's something like that. If it's a repeat thing, it just has to have more features or a new groundbreaking idea or something like that. But it's usually done on a case-by-case basis. And the listing team used to send out basically their requirements so that someone could see what they meet, but it will be kind of down to us. So the requirements aren't set in stone. We could just decide that, oh, it looks good, but maybe you're not hyped enough. So that's another thing. We don't like to give diamond tier. If they're like, oh, the marketing's coming, I was like, okay, we need to see that. We've often say that, look, you're platinum, but if the marketing you have planned does well, then we can upgrade you to diamond before your sale. So it's just, they have to, as I said, we like to be sure they're going to fill. I think the diamonds have a 95% fill rate or something crazy like that. And the platinums are like 80% or something like that, because that's one of the main things we want to be sure they'll fill. And recently enough, Niall actually went through. Niall's he's a co-founder as well, and he's on the listing team. He went through why they had failed, and the diamonds and nearly all the platinums were the hard cap. They just didn't listen to us on the hard cap. So that's why hard cap is a big thing now. And the thing is, the requirements changed so much. So if you looked at them when we launched, they were completely different to what they are now. Because every so often, especially when we have a sale that doesn't fill, me, Bean and Niall and Red and all of us will we'll be like, why didn't that fill? And it's like, was the hard cap too high? No, it wasn't that. Was the marketing done right? It's like, no, it wasn't. Okay, well, that's the problem. So we need to check now in future. We need to look out for that. We need to make sure that the marketing's done properly and just stuff like that. And I think that's the biggest thing. And one of the reasons why we've grown so much is that we're trying to learn at every step of the way, whether it's the dev side, the listing side, the marketing side. We're just trying to constantly learn, and we're not afraid to listen to others. So that's a big thing, that we love to encourage feedback. Because I actually had a partner there saying that, oh, I hope he said, oh, I hope you don't mind. I think you should do this with the site. And I was like, no, keep telling me. Like, I will never say no to advice. Like, even in our alpha group, whenever we kind of because whenever there's a new update, even if it's just small things, we tell them. And we just see what they say. And we actually had an alpha member, when Red released a new update, we had an alpha member say, oh, I do this. And he gave him a list of things. And Red said, grand, okay, I'll get back to you. And then tomorrow he's like, okay, put it through, what you think. And he was like, yeah, it's perfect. He's like, this is why I love GemPad, because you can just tell them things. And that's what we love, that they feel like that. Because we do want you to just say, I don't like this, I think you should do it this way. And if it makes sense, we'll do it that way. because look, we do use Launchpad ourselves, but at the end of the day, it's the community using the Launchpad. So we want to have it as perfect and as user-friendly for them as possible.
That's great. 100%. With the big community feel and the alpha there that you guys have implemented, it's just that many more brains and eyes to help you, or everybody kind of stay safe in a sense. And you've done an amazing job to date. You said you only had 6 negative projects out of, I would assume, over a couple of hundred at this point. That's an amazing ratio. It really is.
Yeah, to be honest, because usually I say 6 because I don't want to say less. But Niall always says it's less than 6. So I'm going to, it's probably 4 or 5. I know of 3. I can think of 3. Because, trust me, when it happens, there's a big meltdown. Because we've only had so few. So, we have this big meltdown where everyone's like, okay, we have to find out what happened. Do we have a KYC? And we just go into meltdown. And that's another thing with the Assure thing, is that Assure will handle the investigation and all. So we don't have to worry about it as much. But yeah, we've had over 500 projects. So we basically have 1 in 100 will rug. It seems to be
500. Wow, that's and it's just here down, you guys out. No, moving on to your staking. So, what is some of the percentages that you could elaborate on for staking GemPad, and what is the process making and creating with a product?
Sorry, Mike. Either I'm lagging or you're lagging. I don't know which.
Can you?
I can't tell if it's me or not.
Hold on. I said earlier one of those noise suppressions. Let me turn it off. Is that better? Can you hear me, Morty?
Yeah, this is a lot better. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was me or you.
Yeah, I was trying out the noise suppression there. I'm sorry, but going on to your staking platform there. So, what is the percentages that you could speak on with staking with GemPad, and then what is the possible criteria that a project must attain to create an LP and stake with those projects?
So, what's the first question? Sorry, say that to me again. The gems.
With staking with GemPad, what is the percentages given for lock times and percentages?
When you're staking gems, so there'll be no, well, unless Red decides to change it, but at the minute there won't be any kind of lock times or anything like that. We don't really want to hold people prisoner. It's just another way. We just wanted to provide another way they can make a bit more money just by holding gems. So it's just another utility we can add. So there wasn't on the previous staking pool. So like I said, we had one when we launched gems originally last April. I think it was April. So we won't, as I said, unless Red decides to change something. And now he hasn't said anything, so I don't think we will. But there won't be any kind of lockup time or any kind of penalty for unstaking or whatever, anything like that. As far as the APR is concerned, because just in case anyone's wondering, it's not set in stone yet. Because we actually had alphas asking about it, saying, "What is it?" And I said, "I'll find out." And I went to ask Red, and he was like, "I haven't decided yet." So I was like, okay. So that's not set in stone. And your second question was, you were asking what's the criteria for someone to be able to make a staking pool?
Yep.
Okay. So short answer is there's none. So anyone, and this is the long answer. So anyone can go on and create a staking pool on GemPad. You don't need to talk to us. You don't need to have any kind of talk to us whatsoever. You can just go on and set up the staking pool, and it's all automatic. And yeah, so there's no criterion. So that means that anyone can create a staking pool on GemPad. We don't feel there's a need to have any criteria. We just don't feel that there's a need to. Now, it might come a case where, say, if somehow people are making a load of scams on it and using scams and using it to advertise, maybe if something like that comes along, we could have a look at it. But at the moment, I don't think there's going to be any kind of vetting or anything done with it. Now, as I said, if we get the community coming in saying they want us to, we can have a look at it. But at the moment, there's not really anything we feel that could happen.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that, Marty. So moving on to the next question here. With there's a vast amount of people that just still really don't understand crypto. And how would you educate, and do you have any educational pieces to the non-crypto investors to kind of help them maybe get invested on one of the projects you're launching or into your project?
Yeah, so a few months ago, I started making video tutorials. So there is some of them up from the ones I made up there. But like I said, that like I was doing marketing, I was trying to make YouTube videos. There was a load of things, and so it kind of got too busy, and I had to stop doing them. But recently, Pip, who is a newish member, he came over from a different launchpad. He moved over to us. He is actually has been making videos, so he's recorded a good few. So it's basically stuff like how to make a token. So you can mint a token with GemPad, and it comes with an audit and everything. So there's stuff like that. It'll also just be a little tour around GemPad, I think, is the first video, just kind of saying what everything is. So he has a good few recorded, and they're just being edited now, and then we'll be uploading them. So there will be ways that you can kind of go from not knowing anything with GemPad to knowing everything. So whether you want to do it video-wise, we'll have YouTube videos, or whether you want to do it on the Gitbook, we'll have that either.
Awesome. So talking on, I was going to say there, your project there, GemPad as a whole, with the project being launched now for quite a while, what was, if you could remember backdating, the initial hard cap that you guys had raised? Was there a pre-sale and private sale? And what was that allocated to with your taxes?
So the private sale we did 100 BNB private sale, and that was to a few select people. There was a few influencers in it. The team invested, so there was no team tokens. There is some locked away just for eventually if we ever decide to go on centralized exchanges. But we didn't get any team tokens, so we bought in ourselves. That was 100 BNB. Then there was the second one, and that was given to one of our first partners. And they had, it wasn't 100, I think it was 80 or 90 BNB. And then we did the pre-sale was 400 BNB. So the first private sale, I remember it actually went over. It ended up being like 110, 120. So basically we had about a 600, an odd number. I think it was like in the end, it was like 610 or 620 BNB hard cap altogether. But obviously just 400 private sale, I believe. And what was great about us, in my opinion, is that we actually had our launchpad out first. So the launchpad was operational in January last year, and we had our first sale at the middle of February. I think it was like the 18th. But we didn't launch our coin until the April because we wanted to have our product already. We even wanted to have sales waiting there. So that's the kind of way we did that. And there was another part to that question, was something about taxes.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that as well, that answer there. Your taxes, the in and out taxes, and what are those allocated to?
So I've actually lost track of what it is now. It's about 10% each way. So it's 10% sales, 10% buy. And it's distributed up into three different ways. So some of it went to the staking pool. Some of it went to the production wallet. And then some of it went to, what am I missing? There's something I'm missing. Oh, liquidity. Yes, that was it. Yeah, some of it went to liquidity. So the reason I'm not sure is because we've changed it a few times. Recently over Christmas, the holidays, because not everyone has Christmas. So over the holiday period, we actually had zero tax. So that's why I'm not exactly sure on what way it's split up. But those are the three things, and I think it's on about 10%. But yeah, so I'm not entirely sure what the split is at the moment. But we actually will eventually have it where our holders can vote on that as well. Like I said, we vote on canceling. We want to eventually have them be able to vote on like the tax on the coin and stuff like that. So have a proper DAO where they get to vote on a lot of stuff about the launchpad.
Awesome. So speaking on your DAO there, Modi, you have to be an alpha tier to be able to vote, correct? And then you said you have to hold a diamond tier for 7 days at least to be able to apply to the alpha tier. So what the alpha tier, when they have a say in operations in a sense, what is some of those, control that a community will have in the alpha tier?
Well, when we eventually bring out the DAO, I'm not entirely sure what Red has planned in the sense. When I say Red has planned, we'll have to talk about, but he usually has an idea on what we're kind of going to do. But yeah, so when we actually have the DAO, the proper DAO, like when it's Red's after coding it properly, I think it might be more than just alphas. So it'll kind of be different holders. So it might be Platinum Plus, it might be Diamond Plus, which is kind of the same as Alpha. That's not set in stone. When we originally talked about it a year ago, it was going to be Platinum Plus, but a lot has changed since then. But at the moment, we have an Alpha DAO that's just a Telegram group. So we have the Alpha Club, but we also have that has influencers as well as our investors. But we have a special chat that's it's kind of like a channel that only the holders can enter. So some of the votings we had on that, the first one was very simple because I'm actually looking at it now to tell you what we voted on. So we let them vote on the Alpha DAO logo, which is a very small thing, but just to show, like, look, it was up to them. So we just gave them 2 different ones. Then the next one was that we did a poll on a project. So we actually had a project that wanted to pitch to, because that's the way an alpha project works. It's like, look, to become an alpha project, you obviously have to meet our criteria, and you have to have a really good project. The use case has to be ready, just stuff like that. So once we do that, though, just because we accept you doesn't mean you're accepted. You obviously need the alphas to invest. So we then ask them. So we usually invite you to come in for an AMA, or we ask you stuff. They get to ask stuff. And then they will decide if they want it or not. And their decision is final. And it's not just about GemPad being the community's launchpad. They're the ones who are investing. So if they say they don't want to invest, there's no point in it being alpha because you're not going to have any investors. So we actually we've had a few projects where we said we'd pitch them to alpha, and we kind of knew that they wouldn't get there. Like sometimes they might meet all our criteria, but we'd know from talking to the alphas that they weren't interested. So then there was a thing about changing the tier system. So we got to vote on that. Then it was another project. Yeah, and then it was just another project, and that's kind of the ones up to date. But there will be more stuff as we go along. We try and include it as much as possible.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Marty. So going down the line here, do you guys have any now NFTs or plan to implement any sort of NFTs that might give you, for lack of a better word, advantage in the Launchpad?
Yeah, so we actually have discussed NFTs before. Nothing set in stone. We have some ideas for how they might work and why we'd eventually do them. And it might have something to do with our new releases. Not saying new releases are NFTs because they're not. I'll tell you that though. But they might have something to do with some new releases. So they're in our plans, but there's nothing really set in stone. Me and Red have discussed it. But I've literally been like, is it anytime soon? He was like, no, I don't think so. So yeah, it won't be anytime soon. Now, when I say that like it could be in a few months, but that's not soon crypto time.
Okay. All right. So one of the last questions here I have, Marty, before we get into the community questions here is, with the projects getting raised on your going in to use your Launchpad, you said there's 6 tiers total. What were those tiers again?
So we have for project tiers, is it?
Yep. Project tiers, not holder tiers.
Yeah, so we have common is the lowest, then we have gold, platinum, and then diamond is the highest. And alpha, now sometimes I've said alpha is the highest, but it's not really. So it's a standalone tier, it's not in the scale. It's a special tier. So we have 5 tiers in total, but alpha is its kind of standalone tier. We actually, now that I do think about it, we do have a 6th tier, but it's tierless. So it's a bit confusing. We won't really get too much into it, but I think there's been 2 or 3. And it's basically when they wanted to use a launchpad but didn't want to have our holders involved. But to be honest, I don't know. Will there ever be another one? So I shouldn't have said it because it might confuse people, but there is technically that as well. But that's like tierless. Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's about, covering everything, Morty. Is there anything that we missed there, Bella, before we take some questions?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we went through everything in depth there. Let me take one look. I know we had, let me pull it up here. Quite a few questions rolling in on Twitter here. All right, so Surgery here as a partnership question. What is some of your larger partnerships and how do they contribute to the GemPad as a whole?
Well, our biggest one, just in terms of how much we work with them, would probably be Assure. So Assure handle all our KYC. So they'll handle, like the minute if you're launching with us, because you need Assure's KYC for like Platinum, Diamond, Alpha. So the minute you are going to launch with us on a higher tier, we will say, okay, contact Assure, get the KYC sorted, stuff like that. So they are probably our biggest one in terms of just how much we work with them. They're obviously, as I said, they are the best in the business, in my opinion. And I'd say in everyone's opinion, they'd have to be up there, if like one of the best. But some other big partners are like groups like USA Crypto. They're really big for us because like if we don't have any AMA groups, we can't help with marketing and stuff like that. And we can't tell projects where to go. And like if groups like this aren't, or like say if USA Crypto said, okay, we're not advertising any more GemPad projects, we'd be fairly dead in the water. So that's why they're probably some of our biggest partners are the AMA groups, the call channels, stuff like that. Audit companies are a big thing as well because we have to be partnered with the audit companies that like to audit our projects. And also all these partners as well, sometimes they'll bring us projects. And like, because that's how we find them. We have partners coming and we also have just agents as well. So if anyone wanted to become an agent to earn more money, you can basically become and work for GemPad. So how that works is you get 1% of every, well, actually the referral system, I'll let the lads explain it if you ever join, but you get a percentage of every project you bring to GemPad. So if you want to do that, Pip does the interviews now for them. So you can apply to do them anytime. And because I don't think we could ever have enough good agents. But you'd have to be active because you have to be looking for it. Because if you don't bring any projects, you don't get paid. So you have to be on the lookout for them.
Appreciate it. Yep, you got to work for it, right? So next question here is from Ross Taylor is how many team members do you have, which is 15, correct?
Let me add it up properly. So we have so we have kind of 8 or 9 in the core team. We have another 2 mods in our main channel. We have like 3 mods in foreign channels, and we have a dev team of 4. It's something like that. That's how many people we have working for us.
That's a good team. Next question from Ross Taylor here also is what blockchains are you supporting currently and looking to onboard in the future?
Okay, so we added a load, so I'm actually going to quickly load up the Launchpad to have a look. So we have Binance, so Binance Smart Chain. We have Ethereum. We have Doge Chain mainnet. We have Polygon mainnet. We have CoinEx. We have Alvi Chain, which is a new one, which we actually got a lot of people coming in from there. So it looks like a really cool chain. We have Kronos, Telos, BitIndy, I actually can't pronounce that, and BitGert. So we've had a few different ones coming in. So I'm very sorry if I pronounced the last 2 wrong, but they're relatively new. But yeah, so we're after integrating a load of ones because we want to try and get as many of them as possible because we want to be able to support any kind of projects and any kind of chain that can be doing well. We'd like to support it the best way we can. So that means that, like, when we go on through a chain, we don't just become a launchpad on the chain. We're a place where projects can lock their tokens, lock liquidity. We're also a place where people can create their tokens, and even staking now. So that's why we feel it's important to get ourselves on a few different chains.
%. Appreciate that, Morty. So next one, let me roll over to Telegram here. Hold on. All right, next one's rolling in from Chill Pill. His question is about your Audit Plus. What is the difference between an Audit Plus and just a regular audit?
Quality is the short answer. And the long answer is that quality again. It just shows that how it's from a good company. So it doesn't mean that particular audit is brilliant. It means that the audit company that does it is of a high standard. So obviously one of the main ones would be kind of Certic. They'd be one of the audit companies that jump out at you. That'd be everyone kind of, if you're in the crypto, everyone's heard of Certic. So they'll be one of the ones that will kind of get the main, you'll see it at a glance, okay, this is a good audit. So maybe if you don't have time or whatever, or even if you're scanning through projects, like we'd hope that eventually we'd be having several listings a day. So you might actually have a chance to kind of thoroughly look through every project. So having an Audit Plus badge would just stand out that bit more. And plus it looks good for a project. A project's always going to want the best. So having a kind of nice, shinier Audit Plus badge is better than an audit badge. And so, the difference is just quality in terms of the audit company.
All right, appreciate the mic. Now, I see Shazam wants to ask a question on voice. I see you, Shazam, but real quick, I just wanted to ask, what in all are the different badges that you offer?
So we offer KYC, KYC Plus, Audit, Audit Plus, and Vetted. I think, that's all.
Okay, appreciate that. Shazam, if you're here, you want to ask a question on voice, go ahead. And I see Jerry also has a question.
I'm here, man.
Hey, Shazam, go ahead, brother.
Okay, man. So, a great project you have. You have a great project, Morty.
Thanks, man.
About what make you believe that GemPad? What make you believe that GemPad innovation feature and technology could be a solution to overcome the common pain on blockchain industry?
So you're asking me, just want to make sure I have the right question right. You're asking me what part of GemPad or what part of the tech for GemPad will set us apart from the rest. Is that what you're asking me, basically?
You get the question, sir?
I think we lost Shazam there for a second. Yeah, but that is ultimately what I understood that he was asking there, Morty.
Okay, so mainly one of the main things is their tiers. Also the UI, the UX of the launch pad itself. So we're very proud of our site and how nice it looks. We get a lot of compliments about it. Also the ease of use, kind of stuff like favorites, just everything. I can't really pinpoint one thing. The anti-snipe, the anti-bot. I redid the Git book recently, and so if I opened the Git book, I could probably talk to you to be honest, I could probably talk to you for hours without opening it. But if I opened the Git book, I could probably talk to you a day about things I like about GemPad and why I think it'll be good. And if I could tell you the stuff coming, which I can't, I would be able to talk to you for weeks about why GemPad will be great.
Okay, man. So I have another question. And what if in the coming years the whole market has fallen due to little demand of the token or tough regulation? How will your ecosystem survive?
So, again, let me make sure I have the question right. So, you're basically asking me if kind of there's a halt on crypto for a while, will we survive? Is that it?
Yes, man. Yes, man.
Yeah. So the way we've done it since we started is we have some money basically locked away. So everything we do is in-house. So I think our sticker pack might have been out, not in-house. We might have outsourced that one. But everything else, from all the graphics, all the banners you see, Minx does all the graphics and stuff. She's a member of the team. Red, so all the tech, he has a team of devs that we pay a wage to. So they're all in-house. So there's nothing that's outsourced, because when you outsource, you can spend a lot more money on it. So the fact that we have everything in-house means that we don't have huge costs. Now, things still cost a lot because there's a big business we're running. Even wages is one of our biggest things. So with all that, we do have a good amount of costs, but we have money kind of saved away. And we don't look, to be honest with you, we don't pay ourselves a huge amount at the minute, because we want to make sure that we can get GemPad where it needs to be. So when, like, with money coming in more and more and more, because like we've constantly been making profit, and we just reinvest everything into it. Because it's funny, because sometimes we get questions like, oh, you must be so rich. And it's like, no, we put it all back in. That's the thing, that we don't actually take much out of it, because we want to keep reinvesting and keep making GemPad better and better and better. So like if we woke up tomorrow and we found out there was something went wrong, we weren't going to have a project for a month or two, we'd be like, oh, okay. Like, it'd be bad. It'd be really bad, but we'd survive because we have that money saved away for a rainy day. So we're not too bad. And like, the longer we're going on, the more and more we save up, and the longer we can last as well, for the more rainy day money we have.
Okay, man. Thanks for the answer.
Thanks for the question.
Thanks, Suzanne. Hey, Space Ranger, go ahead, brother.
Okay. So this one is going to be a tough and great one. So my question is, what has been your biggest challenge in developing your project, and how are you able to solve the problem?
So what has been our biggest challenge with the project, and what was the second part?
And how are you able to solve the problem?
Okay, so our biggest challenge, I would say the biggest challenge with GemPad has been the competitiveness of the Launchpad space. So it's not been, like, if we were the first Launchpad ever, I think it would be a walk in the park. But there's a lot of different competitors out there. And I don't really like to talk about them too much, but there's a lot of different ones out there, and that's probably been our biggest challenge, is overcoming them. Now, I do feel that, like, obviously I'm a co-founder of GemPad, I'm going to say this, but I do feel like we're the best out there. Now, maybe not in terms of volume just yet, but I do feel we are the best, and I think it's just a matter of time until we get everyone to see that. But yeah, definitely the biggest challenge we had has just been competitors, because like when we started out, we started in a runner for that spot. A close second would be the fact that we started in a bear market. So all our competitors, because this is kind of, I suppose it's the same answer, is all our competitors, most of them started in a bull or had a project in a bull, and we started in a bear. So that just meant that we had less projects that would come launch on us during the bear. So we never had the chance to kind of build up funds or build up that following or build up those X's, those projects that look good. So yeah, competitors and the fact that we started in a bear, but it will come good for us, because when a bull does come around, we will be in a great position. And to be honest, we've had to like try so hard. Now, I'm not going to say struggle, because we didn't struggle. Like, we were never like scrimping and scraping or anything, but just because it was a bit tougher than if it was a bull. I think we just were very excited for when a bull market comes along, whenever it decides to.
Okay. So I do have another question here, which is about the liquidity pool of your project. Okay, so I'm a really big fan of GemPad. So I just really want to know The liquidity pool are used to facilitate decentralized financial lending staking. And we have seen that liquidity has become an important part of many ecosystems. Many projects run into liquidity problem. Everybody knows that. So my question here is what liquidity system will GemPad use to encourage the token value?
I'm not sure I understand the question. It's something about liquidity. Did you catch it, Mike?
I think Morty, if I'm right, Space, it's what systems do you have in place to increase liquidity? Is that right, Space?
Yeah. Like what liquidity system will projects use to increase the token value?
So we actually were probably the other way. With liquidity, like the liquidity of the coin, I presume you mean. We were probably the other way around. We actually felt that our liquidity was very high, because we started off. I can't remember what percentage went to liquidity, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty high because I do remember we had some discussions in the team chat about our percentage, and we ended up going higher to liquidity than we probably should have, and that meant we had a very high liquidity, which meant it was hard to kind of pump the coin to make it go up. But it was also equally easy to keep it up because like a sell wouldn't affect it as much. Now there is a liquidity tax, so as I said, a percentage. It might actually only be on one at the moment. Goes to liquidity, but there is a good amount of liquidity. Like I always think. Now this is my own opinion that kind of 10% liquidity towards the market cap is okay, and I think ours is a lot higher than that.
Okay. Yes, answer my question. Okay, Mike, is there enough time for me to ask my last question?
Absolutely. You know that. Go ahead, Space.
Okay. So my last question is really about the advantage of your project. So my last question is what are the strongest advantages of your project that you think will lead your team to a better market, and how do both of investors combine to create a mutually beneficial relationship?
So you're asking me, just want to make sure I have the question right. You're asking me what is
The strongest
the best thing
advantage.
about GemPad? Is that basically it?
I said what are the strongest advantage of your project that you think will lead your team to a better market, and how do both of investors combine to create a mutually beneficial relationship? Hope you got the
Okay.
question now.
So the best thing about GemPad, I think, is going to be our community and our team. So with that, I think community, you can't do a project without community. Like it just doesn't work. Not like forget about them having ideas and input, but you obviously need investors. So the fact that we have such a great community, especially our Alpha Club, is great. Now that's not saying anyone outside the Alpha Club isn't great. They are, but yeah, the Alpha Club is very good, and the team we have is amazing. So I'm not going to comment on myself, but they're like Red is honestly like I was speaking to some kind of old crypto friends, and because they were just asking me, they hadn't been trading for a while, and they were asking about GemPad. And I was saying like, oh, Red's amazing. I will not work with another dev. I just don't think I could do it. Like obviously, if Red has to be involved, basically, I don't think I could handle anyone else because he's just so good, and I don't know if perfectionist is the right word because like you can't get everything perfect, but he's brilliant at what he does. And the listing team are just like they're just really good. And like, because two of them were co-founders, so that's Bina and Niall, so they're on the same kind of level as me, I guess. And we have Tawi, who's probably our oldest person, oldest as in like the oldest, been with us the longest that isn't a co-founder. He's amazing. We were so lucky to get him. He was actually from the group that we all met anyway. We actually all knew him, and he asked could he join once we started up GemPad. And we were like, yeah, cool. And he was way better than we actually thought anyone would be, especially because he's a friend. So you're always worried about hiring friends that it's a bit difficult. But, just because you want to make sure they're going to be good, and it's kind of hard if they're not because they're your friend. You can't really give out, but they are very good. And so then we had Greg is a recent hire. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Greg is unbelievable. We have Rainmans who does the announcements. He he actually took over the AMAs from me so I could concentrate on marketing and stuff like that. So that's amazing. He's very good at what he does, very good at talking in the chat. I'm sure some of you listening, if you came from GemPad, you probably know Rainlands. And we have Minx, graphic designer, which is great that we don't have to outsource anything. She does it all. Ron, who's a new hire, so she's running Twitter, and then she's seen her Twitter's gone up by like 2,000 in like 2 months or something. Because we hadn't had time to really concentrate on it, because as I said, I was trying to market like the Launchpad, there's only so much. So she's after coming in, she's doing the Twitter. She also does help Rainlands with announcements. And she's also like Rainlands, Greg and Ron are on the marketing team. They're great. And then we have Pip. And Pip came over to us from a different Launchpad. And Pip's been amazing because he has more experience in the Launchpad space than any of us. Even though like we're all like we've been here since the start with GemPad, he came from a Launchpad that was a lot older. So he came in with a lot of things, and he's great because sometimes if we lack experience for certain decisions, he's there. He also started doing interviews for the agents, so that's very good. He got in a load of new ones, and it's great because you just can't replace experience. But yeah, so I'd say that's probably the main reasons why I think GemPad will be the next big thing.
Okay. Thanks for answering my question.
Thanks for the question, man.
Hey guys.
Hey,
Appreciate
Jerry.
the space. Hey, Jerry, I know you've been waiting. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, thanks man for the opportunity. Actually I've been with the GemPad community for a while now, so don't really have much questions, but these two questions are my curiosities I've been wanting to ask. So my first question is just to know, when did GemPad begin? Because to be honest with you guys, the GemPad community has been able to accomplish so much success, and has been able to stand out as one of the most unique community and launchpads ever. So I really want to know, when did they get this journey started? And also the second question is concerning those who might be using their launchpads. How do you detect a scam project? How do you differentiate these projects coming into your community so that you don't get to have a bad image while trying to launch a scam project?
Okay. So when it comes to when we started, that has about 4 different answers, so I'll give you the 4 of them. So when we first started kind of planning and coding and coming up with a name for GemPad, it was either November or December. So obviously not the one just gone, the one before that. So like December last year. So it was either the November or December of, I guess it would have been 2021, when the Launchpad was operational, as in we could get a project to launch with us. Was in January sometime. When we had our first project was, I think it's like February the 18th or something like that. And when we launched Gems, which is our token, was April like 14th or something, was maybe the pre-sale. So there's a few different dates in there, but yeah. So like the original idea or the original like start of it, I think was like November 2021, something like that. So we've been like, we're getting old. But then when you say about avoiding scams, so if it's us, the biggest way we avoid scams is we listen to our community. So if we decide, like, if we don't listen to them, it's going to be, we're going to miss a lot of things because we can only check so much. So that's one of the biggest ways, if we just listen to our community, especially the alphas. So most of them will say if there's a scam, we'll get DMs. You know, it becomes pretty obvious if we get a scam. That's an obvious scam. We then also have the audit, the KYC, so Assure are a big thing. So they will often get and find scams in the KYC process. So it could be something like a fake ID or someone that like doesn't really sound like they know what they're doing. Just stuff like that. Where we'll just listen to our partners, our community and stuff like that. We obviously as well can kind of figure it out when we're talking to people. Like every project that launches on GemPad, unless it's common tier, we have a group with. Sometimes they have a group with the commentators as well. But just this means that I wouldn't call it vetting, but we kind of check the project. Now, if you're talking about how do you avoid rugs as an investor, so if you're saying I want to kind of get better, I would check KYCs, I'd check audits, and I'd question everything. So if you're new to crypto and you want to get better at avoiding them, I'd check everything. So you just need to question everything, and nothing, like everything should be suspicious in the sense that, like when I talked about the project of Pluto Pepe, where they probably weren't suspicious enough, that we were given evidence and they were suspicious of us, but I suppose. So maybe they're suspicious of the wrong thing. But you just have to question a lot of things and you have to do your research. That's the biggest thing. And that's lost on a lot of people. And like we were probably all guilty of it in the bull. But you just have to do your own research and make sure you've checked everything. So you went into Telegram, you've seen if the developers in there, the owners in there, and if they're talking. Like where it's launching can be a big thing. And I'm not going to say that GemPad's the only good place to launch. It's not. There's other places, but you need to be careful as well that if it's on its own site, you have to be careful with connecting your wallet, just everything like that. But when it comes to looking on GemPad, the badges are a big thing. So I like personally, if it's me, I'd be very skeptical about jumping into a project that doesn't have a KYC or an audit. But some people like to invest in those, or sometimes you might know the team. It's very circumstantial.
Great answers by you, Modi. And yeah, my reasons for asking these questions was because I've been able to witness and see that most of the projects launching in the GemPad community have been so great, have been so really great. So I was wondering if you guys have some kind of a procedures to these projects where you get to assess their identities and check through the projects if it's actually some legit projects or some scam projects. So I must tell you guys this, it's a really great community. GemPad will always remain the best. So thanks guys, appreciate you.
Thanks for the question, Max.
Thanks, Joey. Great answer there, Maury. Yeah, so yeah, 100% it, right? The individual investor can only do their best as doing your own research and, checking out the badges, KYC, SAFU, et cetera, down the line, and audits, and then taking a personal perspective from it, right? You're going into the Telegram, Twitter, Discord, whatever it may be, where the community is, and then getting a read from the community. So it is very big to do your own research on any project, regardless of anything, because don't get me wrong, we love Certic and they do great. We're partners with them, but I mean, there still has been, a couple of rugs there. Not saying they're a bad audit company, not by any means. They're an amazing company, but it just happens naturally in the space, right? So you just got to do the best research on your own that you can do to feel comfortable with your investment, right?
Yeah, 100%. And like the biggest thing in crypto is that, like, not that you can't trust anyone, but like, you shouldn't be going off someone else's word. So you should be like, well, I'm after checking this myself. I made the decision myself. And that you have no one to blame if it rugs. Because a lot of times people look for someone to blame. And if you're doing that, then you should be like, well, maybe I should have blamed myself because I didn't check enough myself. Because like, to be honest, I prefer to lose, to like, if a project doesn't do as well as I thought, because I didn't check it properly rather than because I just trusted someone else to check. So you just have to make sure you do it yourself as well as checking out the audits and stuff like that.
100%. One of the biggest things for an investor too is it's not always just invested in what the project can do, what it is, what it stands for. You're ultimately investing in the team, their background, their experience, and what they can bring to you as a whole in the space.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like that's the thing, we actually get a lot of people that they say like they like GemPad because of the team. And I'm not even going to include myself in that, but they do say it, and it's true. Like, you do nearly invest in the team that it can be a bad idea, but just the team's so good it does well.
100%, and we've seen it. All right, Marty. Well, I think that's all the questions I'm going to take the community tonight. Guys, I want to tell you guys always be going over to GemPad's community here. If there's any questions missed, be sure to join in over there. Ask any questions that might have been missed. Morty, has been a great experience. I appreciate the updates. And is there anything you want to leave us with before we get into the giveaway?
Basically, I just want to reiterate over, if you are unfamiliar with GemPad, come over and check us out. Feel free to ask any questions in the main Telegram. If you've heard of GemPad before, have a look through some of the new features. So whether it's the staking or the salt launches or anything like that, there'll be something for you at GemPad. And watch this space, as I've heard people say before, because there will be stuff coming out very soon. And it's very exciting stuff. And I don't think anyone would be able to guess what it is. Definitely the second thing that's coming out. Maybe the next thing, but definitely not the second thing. So yeah, basically keep an eye on GemPad, because we're going to be doing great things. And we're going to be a leader, not just as a launchpad, but in the DeFi space as a whole. So thank you for having me, Mike, as well. And thank you for everything.
100%. It's good to see you, Marty, as always. And we'll see you back in the future, I'm sure. And with that being said, Marty, we're going to get into the giveaway here. I know it's late for you, brother. You don't have to stay if you don't want to. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. I love all the updates. Keep it going, brother.
Thanks for having me, Mike. And yeah, I am going to go because it's 12:30 here. Way past my bedtime. All right.
Good night,
Thanks.
Marty.
Have a good
day. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amazing AMA tonight, guys. All right, so we're going to give a giveaway tonight. $25 to the best question, $25 to a Twitter post, question, retweet as well. And as well, after I end this recording, I do have one to catch up on from yesterday. We'll be going through who posted yesterday's numbers for the giveaway for yesterday's AMA. I will also be doing a shared screen tomorrow as well to give you guys an all equal chance to get into a numbered giveaway on the wheel. I have 250 numbers. All you guys got to do is guess the closest number or even the number that I pick on the wheel randomly, shared screen, guys, and you'll win $25. So with that being said, tonight I will be picking a $25 best question. And also I would like you guys to head on over to GemPads Telegram, drop a sticker, ask a question, whatever it is, be part of the community. And I'm going to pick a $10 winner over there as well. You can do that now. I'm sure Johnny is going to tell you how to win $10 over in their project, over in their AMA. But I love seeing you all as always. I see a couple of new faces in here. And that is it for GemPads AMA. And I love seeing you all. Thanks. See you guys in the next one.